Do you ever lie awake, staring at your ceiling, thinking about the bills that are coming due, the car that needs repairs, or the rent that always seems to arrive faster than your paycheck? You feel the weight pressing down, not just financial, but mental. Every decision, from the small coffee purchase to whether you take on extra shifts, feels heavy because you're trapped in the same cycle. And most people accept this tension as normal. They assume freedom starts with a bigger salary, a bonus, or perfect timing in the market. Here's the thing, it doesn't. My name is Rio, and I've spent over a decade studying finance, behavioral psychology, and wealth building strategies. I've lived through the tension of scarcity and the subtle relief of predictability. I've seen firsthand how small, deliberate actions repeated over time can quietly shift your life. And today, I want to share a framework that doesn't rely on luck, market timing, or high-risk gambles. Most people think financial freedom begins with income. They assume if they just work harder, earn more, or wait for some magical opportunity, everything will fall into place. And it's true that money helps, but that's not the foundation. Real financial control, the kind that lets you think clearly and act intentionally, begins with predictable, reliable cash flow from the assets you already control. I want to challenge that belief. Imagine, for a moment, that instead of living paycheck to paycheck, a modest, well-designed dividend portfolio deposits $2,750 into your account every month. Not a one-time bonus, not a windfall, but steady, predictable income that continues week after week. It changes the rules, not immediately, not dramatically, but quietly, and then inevitably. The first week I experienced this, it didn't feel life-changing. I remember seeing the deposit hit my account, just a small number relative to what I needed, but it was proof. Proof that consistent action compounded over time works. Proof that freedom begins not with luck, but with small, deliberate steps. That's the invisible threshold most people never see. They think they need hundreds of thousands upfront, or perfect timing. In reality, it begins with discipline, patience, and consistency. Once that threshold is crossed, life starts to shift. Bills that used to create panic feel manageable. The mental pressure that once dominated every decision begins to ease. Suddenly, you have options. Car repair isn't a crisis. A professional opportunity isn't a risk, it's a choice. And with that mental clarity comes a profound transformation. Before, fear dictated decisions. Scarcity drove every move. You made short-term choices, picking up extra shifts, skipping investing, deferring growth, because the immediate stress was overwhelming. Once your portfolio begins generating meaningful weekly income, the fear begins to fade. You operate from a place of growth, not survival. Your bandwidth expands, and you start making decisions that scale with your life, rather than reacting to the next expense. Let's put some numbers to it. Imagine a carefully selected portfolio of dividend-paying stocks, each yielding around 4% annually. You start with $800,000 spread across these assets. Initially, your monthly dividend income might be modest, but with reinvestment, disciplined additions, and time, it grows. In just a few years, that same portfolio could generate $2,750 monthly. Steady, reliable, and predictable. Enough to cover essentials, reinvest, and accelerate the growth further. Here's where the psychological impact becomes clear. That $2,750 isn't just money, it's mental space. Decisions that once felt urgent now feel optional. Emergencies lose their grip on your life. Stress diminishes. You're no longer reacting, you're designing. The same financial events that once provoked anxiety now appear as opportunities or optional scenarios. Identity shifts at this stage. You are no longer someone who scrambles for every dollar. You become someone capable of trust, discipline, and patience. You learn to delay gratification without feeling deprived. The way you approach money, risk, and opportunity evolves. You gain control, not obsession. Decisions scale from small, reactive choices, coffee, lunch, minor purchases, to life-level strategy, housing, career, transportation, and investments. Your career begins to shift too. Negotiations, opportunities, and deals now enter your sphere differently. With consistent, predictable income, the fear of walking away disappears. You gain leverage, confidence, and posture. Offers improve because you are not desperate. You negotiate from a foundation, not a deficit. That foundation is the quiet power of a dividend portfolio, doing its work while you think strategically about your next move. But crossing this milestone is not a reward. It's a foundation. It's a seed. Lifestyle inflation, the temptation of a new car, a larger apartment, or unnecessary luxuries can erode the progress you've made. Every decision carries an opportunity cost. Every dollar spent is a dollar that could have grown, compounded, and expanded your future choices. Understanding that trade-off is critical, and it must be approached without guilt or self-recrimination. Over time, the small, consistent deposits of dividends evolve from mere numbers to a signal of freedom. They tell you that the actions you've taken, repeated week after week, have created a life where money is no longer the limiting factor. You operate from control, not fear. Emergencies no longer dominate. Opportunities become approachable. Decisions scale with your goals rather than your stress levels. Here's an important distinction. This is not about instant wealth. It's about building momentum. Each week, your dividends accumulate, compounding quietly. Each month, the stream grows stronger. Over the years, the effect is profound. A life that once felt constrained by scarcity now feels designed by your deliberate, consistent choices. That is the invisible but powerful transformation a properly constructed dividend portfolio provides. Let's explore the psychological side. When every dollar is scarce, your mind reacts constantly to stressors. Decisions are tactical, short-term, and fear-driven. But predictability changes that. Mental bandwidth returns. You can think strategically about career moves, investments, and lifestyle adjustments. You begin to distinguish between what is urgent and what is important. Coffee expenses no longer consume your focus. Housing, career decisions, and meaningful investments take priority. Your identity evolves. You become a person who can manage risk calmly, someone capable of making high-stakes decisions without panic. Small setbacks, market dips, or unexpected expenses no longer provoke anxiety. They are just data points to adjust strategy. You become someone who trusts discipline, patience, and time. You stop obsessing over money. Instead, you control it, using it to create freedom and opportunity. At this stage, big decisions matter more than small ones. You begin to evaluate investments in housing, transportation, and career opportunities with a perspective shaped by mental clarity and financial stability. Emergencies are no longer crises, they are scenarios. You have walking away money. You have leverage. Your posture, your confidence, your ability to negotiate effectively, all of it improves simply because your foundation supports it. But let me caution you again. This milestone is not a reward. It is a foundation. If you let lifestyle creep, unnecessary indulgences, or impulsive spending erode it, you risk undoing years of compounding discipline. A new car, a bigger apartment, or luxuries that feel justified in the moment can steal future freedom. Every decision carries opportunity cost, and the emotional weight of those choices must be acknowledged without judgment. The quiet power of a dividend portfolio is not in dramatic overnight results. It's in predictable growth, repeated consistently, quietly building freedom over time. The $2,750 per month isn't just money. It's the mental space, the clarity, and the confidence to design your life intentionally rather than react to circumstance. By the time your portfolio generates meaningful monthly income, you are no longer someone scrambling. You are a designer of life-level choices. Decisions scale from minor reactive choices to strategic actions aligned with your long-term goals. You gain optionality. You gain control. You gain the ability to walk away from unfavorable situations. And in doing so, your confidence and clarity compound just like your dividends. The moment you experience that consistent cash flow, you understand the difference between survival mode and growth mode. Survival mode is short-term, constrained, and anxiety-driven. Growth mode is patient, deliberate, and strategic. Your identity shifts. You become someone capable of trust, patience, and discipline. You become someone who sees opportunity where others see obstacles, and optionality where others see emergencies. Start small. One stock, one weekly contribution. Observe the invisible threshold. Let time and consistency do the work. And when momentum begins, recognize it not as luck, not as a reward, but as the natural result of thoughtful, deliberate action. Because one day, that $2,750 monthly cash flow will no longer feel like money. It will feel like freedom. It will feel like control. It will feel like a life designed deliberately, patiently, and intentionally. And your future self, the one with clarity, choice, and peace, will quietly thank you for laying the foundation 1 week, 1 contribution, and 1 deliberate choice at a time. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next video.